Dover, Delaware is the capital of the first state that ratified the United States Constitution all the way back in 1787. Dover is also the home of the Wesley College Wolverines, a perennial powerhouse in the NCAA Division III football. And Dover Air Force Base, the largest and busiest freight terminal in the Department of Defense. Since 1969, Dover has also been home to stock car racing at Dover Motor Speedway, one of the most demanding racetracks in the country. Today, the cars and stars of the ARCA Menards Series East take on the lightning-fast concrete banks in the General Tire 125. Who will be the newest rising superstar to tame the Monster Mile? Find out next, live right here on Flow Racing. Hi there, everybody. My name is Charlie Krall, and I'll have all the action for you here this afternoon. Obviously coming to you a day later than we hoped, as Mother Nature intervened with us yesterday. Not been a whole lot friendlier here today. The forecast called for about a 40% chance of showers, but as you can see, thankfully, a lot drier today than it was yesterday. Not a whole lot warmer, though. Still in the low 60s, but we should have a good window to go racing. We're going to keep an eye on that weather throughout the course of the race and hopefully keep our fingers crossed that Mother Nature done interfering with all of the racing action here at the Monster Mile throughout the course of the weekend. Counting down to the command to fire engines, you do see cars lined up down on pit road. Trying to keep the driver cool in that number 18 already. William Sawalich will roll P1 here today. We'll talk about him here just a little bit more. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about him a whole lot throughout the course of today's 125-miler here at Dover. There's my buddy Thomas Lanahan hustling down pit road, carrying that camera. Thomas getting ready for driver introductions here. Good-looking field of cars down on pit road here as we get set to go 125 laps, 125 miles, and everybody looking to avoid that guy throughout the course of the afternoon here. Miles the Monster, known for crunching race cars. We'll see if these 15 drivers can avoid getting crunched here this afternoon. Good-looking crowd on hand here today. I know it hasn't been the optimal weather day, but these fans get one chance to come out and catch these cars here throughout the course of the season in Dover, Delaware. You got to get out here and support the series when you do have the opportunity to. Like I said, good-looking crowd. See a few LeVar Scott shirts there in the crowd, too. Of course, LeVar racing in front of his home audience here this week. We'll see if he's able to make some noise here today. Just finished up an exciting NASCAR Xfinity Series race. Two-time ARCA Menards East champion Ryan Truex going to victory lane. First career Xfinity Series victory for Ryan Truex. So congratulations go out to him and the Joe Gibbs Racing team. Great to see Ryan picking up that first career victory. Been a long time coming. A lot of people know the story. Long time coming. I have a feeling that second victory won't take quite so long. So congratulations go out to two-time East Series champion Ryan Truex on a big win here just a few moments ago. Good look at some fans settled in down in the infield on the edge of the horse track here at Dover Motor Speedway, getting settled in for 125 laps of action. As I said, on one of the most demanding racetracks on the schedule. And Mother Nature throwing us a curveball, kind of changing how we're going to play the race throughout the course of the day. We had one break planned here before Mother Nature came calling yesterday. And we're going to have two breaks today. Going to give these teams an extra chance to come on down pit road, check the tire wear, make any adjustments they need. Those breaks coming up at lap 30 and lap 70. Give them plenty of opportunity to keep fresh tires on the cars. This concrete racing service can be pretty abrasive as we send it on downstairs for the command to fire them up. Engines coming to life down on pit road. 15 cars ready to line up and take to the Monster Mile. Again, 125 laps, 125 miles. The scheduled distance here today. There's the guy who dominated the season opener at Five Flags Speedway back in the month of March, William Sawalich, looking to go back-to-back to start his East Series career. He's got a good shot, got a good starting spot. Going to roll off P1 here today. William led every lap after starting from the pole down at Five Flags Speedway. There's a good look at Rita Goulet, the racing cop. She's going to start deep in the field here today. The Rise Motorsports team. A team new to East Series competition. There's Tony Breidinger. We see her quite a bit in the ARCA Menards series. Going to run a limited schedule this year. Going to do all kinds of racing all over the country throughout 2023. Good to see Tony Breidinger here with us as the field begins to roll off of pit road. Why don't we take a look at today's General Tire race analysis? Again, we're going to go 125 laps, 125 miles around the concrete oval that is Dover Motor Speedway, and it's very imposing 24-degree banking in the corners. Even the straightaways are banked here, 8 degrees on both the front and back straightaways, hence the nickname the Monster Mile. Hopefully we don't see the self-cleaning aspect of the front stretch and or back stretch throughout the course of the day. We will have 2 scheduled breaks at or around lap 30 and 70, and we'll have 8 tires, 2 full sets of tires in the pits for the teams to change at those breaks. This is the 33rd ARCA Menards Series East race here at Dover Motor Speedway, dating all the way back to 1987. Last year's winner, Taylor Gray. And Taylor has moved on to race in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series here in 2023. Let's take a look at today's Bounty Rookie Spotlight driver. There you see him, driver of that number 18. William Sawalich, the first driver in ARCA Menards Series East history to lead every lap and win in his series debut. A very impressive performance at Five Flags Speedway back in March. He's back looking to go back-to-back here at Dover, and he's got a great starting spot to make that happen. We'll talk about that starting spot. We already have. We'll talk about it again here in just a second. We're going to keep a very close eye on William Sawalich throughout the course of today's race as he is in today's Bounty Rookie Spotlight. As I said, we're going to be talking about William Sawalich all day long, I do have to believe. His starting position is from the General Tire Pole. He is the General Tire Pole Award winner. After qualifying got washed out yesterday, field was set based on 2022 car owner points, and Williams, number 18, is the defending East Series car owner champion. That gives him pole for the General Tire 125. William also started from the pole in the season opener at Five Flags Speedway, and he even qualified P1 for the ARCA Menards Series and ARCA Menards West combination race out of Phoenix Raceway back in March. Williams got a pretty fast race car. He's going to be tough to beat in his first ever start here at Dover Motor Speedway this afternoon. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the rest of today's General Tire starting grid. Alongside Sawalich on the front row, another young driver with his best career starting position, Zachary Tinkle. Driving for 1995 ARCA champ Andy Hillenberg will start second. Row and C.J. McLaughlin scheduled to go from row 2. Brad Smith and Ed Pompa slated to start alongside each other in row 3. Two-time West winner here in 2023, Sean Hingarani will start 7th alongside local favorite LeVar Scott back in row 4. 2 Venerini Motorsports teammates, Jake Finch and Connor Jones, will round out the top 10. Tony Breidinger and West Series championship leader Landon Lewis will go from row 6. Rita Goulet and Five Flags runner-up Luke Fenhouse. Luke's going to be starting way out back. He's going to start back in row 7. And Dale Scherer will round out our 15-car starting grid. There's a good look at Dale Scherer in that number 98. Good to have Dale here with us. You see some of the cars electing to drop to the tail of the field or the initial green, so that will shuffle things up just a little bit here. Don't forget, folks, we'll go We will keep our eye out for candidates for today's Reese's Sweet Move of the race. You can cast your vote for the Reese's Sweet Move. Just log on to the ARCA Menards Series Twitter page at ARCA_racing. Starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, cast your vote for who you think has the sweetest move in today's General Tire 125. Sean Hingorani already down on pit road. Of course, this is the first time with the weather yesterday. Didn't get practice in, didn't get qualifying in. This is the first time these cars have seen the racetrack. First time a lot of them have even been started, other than just warming up the engine. Sean Hingorani already down pit road. Looks like Brad Smith. Maybe another one of the Hillenberg cars already coming down pit road as well. Like that's Tim Monroe in the 01. There's a good look at Brad, and that is a beautiful looking number 48 car. That car actually comes from the late James Hilton. The car was one of James's. Good to see it back out on the racetrack here at Dover Motor Speedway. Lights out on the pace car. We should go racing for 125 laps this time around. William Sawalich up on the front row. LeVar Scott alongside. Field has been jumbled as some cars have elected to go to the back. Jake Finch, Connor Jones back there in row 2. Mark Honkong bringing the pace car down onto pit road. Starter Jimmy Walker looking him over. Off at turn 4. Let's do it. It's time to rock, roll, and rumble here at Dover. Field diving off into turns 1 and 2. Look at that big wiggle out of the 18 car, but William Sawalich keeping the hammer down. He's going to take the lead off at turn 2. First battle on the racetrack. The Benarini Motorsports teammates going at it side by side as William Sawalich leads him across the start-finish line to complete lap number 1. Connor Jones to the high side of the racetrack. He's going to take over that 3rd position. Jake Finch in the number 20, falling back into 4th. Field going to string out single file now off of turn 4. Looks like Connor Jones in the 25 looking a little racy, putting some pressure on LeVar Scott. And look at LeVar. He is right on the back bumper of William Sawalich. LeVar Scott looking to the inside. Battle for the lead on in turns 3 and 4. Sawalich with a little wiggle, give the advantage to LeVar Scott off of turn 4. New leader. LeVar Scott with an impressive move. Take the lead here early in the going. And we just talked about it. That could be one of our Reese's Sweet Move of the Race candidates right there. LeVar Scott with a power move to take the lead. But he's got company. Connor Jones in that 25 car. Not giving up any ground here in the early going. LeVar Scott drifting up the racetrack just a little bit in that number 6. Going to slam the door shut on Connor Jones. Connor all over the back bumper as they race down the front stretch and off into turns 1 and 2. Much better corner that time for LeVar Scott in the number 6 car. Ooh, a little loose off of turn 4. Again, this is the first time these cars have seen the racetrack here this weekend. Got way up the racetrack as he worked around the outside of Rita Goulet there through turns 3 and 4. Able to keep Connor Jones in the rearview mirror. Connor with a run down the backstretch. He's going to sneak to the inside of LeVar Scott down the backstretch. Side by side into 3. Give the lead to Connor Jones. The 25 car looking really solid here in the early going. Connor around the outside of Ed Pompa there in turns 1 and 2. He's going to bring LeVar Scott with him, and there's the battle for third. William Sawalich. He's got Jake Finch on his back bumper. Here comes Finch looking to the inside, down the front stretch and off into turn 1. Jake Finch up to third. William Sawalich falling back here in the early going. Jake Finch, of course, son of longtime NASCAR and ARCA team owner James Finch. A little sideways off of turn 2 for the number 20. A lot of people remember Phoenix Racing back in the mid-1990s. Jeff Purvis was dominant on the super speedways in the ARCA Menards series. Picked up a couple of wins at Daytona, Talladega, Michigan. Now 17-year-old Jake Finch piloting that number 20. This in partnership with the Venerini Motorsports team. Jake starting to close in a little bit there on the number 6. Trying to take over that second position as they again work to the outside of Rita Goulet in turns 1 and 2. LeVar having a hard time keeping that number 6 car down on the very bottom of the racetrack. That, of course, is the preferred groove, the fast way around here at Dover Motor Speedway. That car wanting to drift up about a lane and a half up off the bottom of the racetrack. And there's the distance between first and second. Connor Jones driving off into the distance over this battle for second. Once again, the 6 car. Ooh, he's going to get sideways there. Nice save by LeVar Scott, but that's going to allow Jake Finch to close right up on the back bumper. That 6 car very, very loose. Every time he catches some of that slower traffic, that car just runs up the racetrack in the corners. LeVar Scott fighting an evil handling race car right now. Still doing a nice job to keep Jake Finch in the rear view mirror, but they continue to lose ground. Connor Jones driving away from this battle for second. Jake Finch now trying to stick the nose to the bottom side. Does he have racing room down into turn 1? Yes, he does. Give Jake Finch the second position. LeVar Scott back to third. Already working lap 17. Very quick pace here in the early going. Ooh. Jake trying to stay as close to the bottom side of the racetrack as he can, and almost got into Ed Pompa there through turns 1 and 2. Now we see things starting to tighten up a little bit. LeVar Scott's got some company. Ooh, LeVar very, very loose. Off of turn 4, and there's Landon Lewis. Landon, our current ARCA Menards West Championship leader. Driving for Bruce Cook. Landon's raced his way up into the top 5. There's William Sawalich. William fighting that number 18 car a little bit. Very sideways off of turn 4. These are the 2 drivers that battled for the win at 5 Flags a few weeks back. Luke Fenhaus in the 28. That's the Pinnacle Racing Group Chevrolet. Luke Fenhaus going to take that spot. Going to push William Sawalich outside the top 5. Great run here in the early going for Luke Fenhaus. Shane Huffman, the crew chief on the number 28 car. Of course, Shane led Brett Holmes to the ARCA Menards Series Championship back in 2020. Jump back up front. There's Connor Jones in the 25 car. 4.8 seconds on second place. More than a full straightaway. Connor Jones driving off into the distance. There we are, waiting on second. There's Jake Finch. Another one of the Venturini Motorsports teammates in that number 20. No pressure at all for Connor Jones as he continues to show the way here. 22 laps, working lap 22, 21 laps in the books. Jake Finch working to the outside of Zachary Tinkle in that number 11 car. Zachary slated to take the green flag in the second position. Of course, the field lined up according to 2022 ARCA Menards East Championship standings. Connor Jones in his 7th career East Series start. 3 previous top 5 finishes. Best career finish, 3rd last year right here at Dover, looking to better it by a couple of positions here this afternoon. There's Jake Finch in the number 20 car. Jake also in his 7th career East Series appearance. Close in on the first of 2 scheduled breaks. First one coming at or around lap number 30. A lot of these drivers hollering at their crew chiefs for adjustments. Some ill-handling race cars out there. Saw LeVar Scott jump out front very early and lead a couple of laps. But that car jumped sideways quite a few times on LeVar. He's probably one of those drivers hollering down at the crew chief for a quick adjustment. Into this first break, he's facing some heat right now from Luke Fenhouse in the 28 car. LeVar had an impressive run in the ARCA Menards Series season opener at Daytona International Speedway. His debut in the ARCA Menards platform led a total of 14 laps. Great run by this young man. Ended up finishing in 4th. Finished 5th in the season opener at 5 Flags. There's Rita Goulet in the 31 car. Rita a little off the pace down the backstretch as we see leader Connor Jones flash around her to the outside. Rita and her husband Tim Goulet, owners of that number 31, the Rise Motorsports team. Connor Jones clean and green down the backstretch in that number 25 car. Been a big month, been a big couple of weeks for the Venturini Motorsports team. Last weekend down at Talladega Super Speedway, they picked up the win with Jesse Love. Then went out west, same day, picked up the victory with Sean Hingarani out of Kern County Raceway Park. Looking to go 3 for 3 here this afternoon, and right now they've got the top 2 on the racetrack. Connor Jones leading the way in the number 25. Jake Finch holding on to that 2nd position, and as you can see, Jake has closed in the gap. About a 1.5 seconds. Now just 2.5 seconds behind. So Jake Finch getting up on the horse, trying to close in on his teammate here as we wind down towards the first of our 2 scheduled breaks here at the General Tire 125. And there's the caution for that first scheduled break. Very fast pace here. First 31 laps in the books. Connor Jones right now looking almost untouchable in that number 25 car. Carrying sponsorship from the family company, Jones Utilities. Seen Connor the last couple of years during the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing down at New Smyrna Speedway. You can see, of course, watch that live here right on Flow Racing. Very impressive young man. And he has had an impressive day here so far at Dover Motor Speedway. So we'll capture the cars behind the pace car, bring them on down pit road for a 5-minute break to allow them to change tires, make adjustments. As you see the scoring ticker, we do see that Sean Hingorani '15th. There you see him, 15th in that number 15 car. A disappointing day. That engine, the engine on that 15 car, has not been able to fire. He's fighting some sort of electrical gremlin in that automobile. Of course, with the damp weather conditions here, I think that's immediately what you start to think of. There may be some water in that ignition system, but a tough day for Sean Hingorani. Two-time winner in the ARCA Menards West already here in 2023. Going for the championship in both the East and the West Series. This will not help his championship hopes here in the East, as he looks to finish 15th out of the 15 cars here at Dover today. And it looks like Connor Jones will lead the field down onto pit road. Again, 5 minutes to change tires, add fuel, make any adjustments or repairs. We'll line them back up the way they came on down pit road and go racing to lap 70, the second of our 2 scheduled breaks here today. And as soon as the last car comes to a stop, we will start that 5-minute clock. Connor Jones showing the way over Jake Finch. Landon Lewis in third. An impressive run for our West Series championship leader, LeVar Scott and Luke Fenhouse rounding out the top 5. Pole sitter William Sowalich, our Bonnie rookie spotlight driver. He's sitting back in 6th. Tony Breidinger, Zachary Tinkle round out the 8 cars on the lead lap. Zachary picking up the free pass to rejoin that tail end of the lead lap here under this caution flag. Ed Pompa and Brad Smith rounding out the top 10. As we're going to step aside for a quick break as the teams jump into action, we'll come back and recap all the pit road activity. You're watching the General Tire 125 from Dover Motor Speedway live here on Flow Racing. Welcome back to the General Tire 125 here at Dover Motor Speedway. Under the first of our two scheduled breaks here today. Of course, this was kind of a last-minute addition to the plan. Mother Nature interrupting our on-track activities yesterday. Just kind of a precaution just to allow the teams an extra chance to kind of monitor the tires and make any adjustments that they need. A lot of them taking advantage of this. There's a last-minute adjustment there on the number 11 car of Zachary Tinkle. Good-looking scheme on that number 11 for Zachary here this year. Still a couple of minutes remaining, maybe about 90 seconds remaining for these teams to complete their work. There's a good look at Tony Breidinger in that number 55 car. Tony having a good run. Currently sitting in the 7th position. Big news out of her camp here this week. She's going to make her NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut. Victoria's Secret on board for her big debut coming up. Of course, Tony also doing a little bit of personal services work with the Victoria's Secret brand. So look forward to seeing her making her Truck Series debut coming up here later on in the season, as Connor Jones leading the field back off of pit road and on to the racetrack. There's Jake Finch. Jake currently in the 2nd position, and we'll reset the field here as we line them up back down on the backstretch. And you see the sticker tires on the back of that number 20 car. So some of these drivers and teams electing to bolt on 4 fresh tires. I suppose that comes as no surprise on what is a notoriously abrasive surface, particularly after we have rain in the area washing the racetrack clean. Now, we did have a 200-mile NASCAR Xfinity Series race earlier today, but as you may know, a different rubber compound. So look at some of the tire marbles off of the cars here today. And a tire mark, you know, hopefully we won't see any more tire marks added to the collection on the backstretch. And that's interesting because you do see some of the rubber that has been laid down, and then you see those marks across it, the rubber being picked up under the caution flag here. Miles the Monster. Boy, this racetrack, since 1969, a well-earned nickname. Of course, the concrete surface in place here since 1995, and I remember that first weekend with the concrete down, and it did not take long for that fresh concrete to start chewing up race cars. I believe it was like lap 2 of the first Cup race here, and there was a massive pileup. Thankfully, we haven't seen that here in recent years, and we definitely do not want to see it here today. But this is notoriously one of the most demanding and one of the toughest racetracks on the schedule each and every year across all of the series. That race here, Brad Smith with a little shove to get that number 48 car back rolling off the backstretch. Jimmy Walker giving him the 1 to go here at start finish. We'll go back racing as we go to lap 70. As we go to our second of the 2 scheduled breaks here in the General Tire 125. Let's take a look at the upcoming ARCA Menards Series East schedule. Coming up May 13th, the Music City 200 at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Always one of the bigger races on the calendar, and the one that I've had circled on my schedule all winter long. May the 20th, the Dutch Boy 150 up at Flat Rock Speedway. My home track. I grew up at Flat Rock Speedway every Saturday night. That surely will be one of the races of the season. Then some combination races with the ARCA Menards Series, July 15th at Iowa, August 11th at Indianapolis Raceway Park, Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park, August 27th at the Milwaukee Mile, and the East Series Championship finale, September 16th at Bristol Motor Speedway. Concomp bringing the pace car back down onto pit road. We'll go back racing. The next scheduled break coming up at lap 70. Green flag back out. Let's see what happens down into turn 1. And look at Landon Lewis in the 17 car. He's going to try to sneak past Jake Finch and take over that second position. Landon Lewis with a terrific restart in that Bruce Cook prepared number 17. Landon's had an incredible start to the season out west. And look at Landon Lewis to the inside of Connor Jones. He's going to lead him at start finish. Landon Lewis. What's the old Benny Parsons line? Like he was shot out of a canyon. He's going to take the lead. Connor Jones very sideways off of 2. Whatever adjustments they made on the 25 car, that car very loose. He's going to drop the 4th. LeVar Scott going to take over. And that restart by Landon Lewis could be another candidate for that Reese's Sweet move of the race. Landon Lewis with a very impressive start to the season out west, and he's equally impressive here today. Jake Finch trying to look underneath Landon Lewis. The battle for the lead on through turn 4. Jake Finch will lead him across the start-finish line at lap 38. And we talk about the impressive start to the season that Landon Lewis has had. 3 consecutive second-place finishes to start the season. And he has got the ARCA Menards West Championship lead heading into their next race coming up June 2nd at Portland International Raceway. But right now, Jake Finch, for the first time in his ARCA Menards Series East career, leading the way in that number 20 Phoenix Construction Toyota for Venerini Motorsports. So that break at lap 31 and the adjustments and tire changes down on pit road has jumbled the field. Connor Jones has dropped all the way back to 7th. So that number 25 car not at all handling the way it did here in the early going here today. There's Sean Hingarani in the 15 car. They are still trying to get that car out on the racetrack and back into competition. And what a frustrating day for that number 15 team. For Sean with a couple of wins out west. Chasing after both the East and the West Series championships here in 2023. And today will not help him in his quest to win the East Series championship. Good battle for position. LeVar Scott, William Sawalich, Tony Breidinger. Tony making her first appearance in the top 5. It's the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Boy, it has been a drastic change for the 25 car. But that has opened the door for this young man, Jake Finch, in the number 20. He was 2nd at that break, and he has jumped out to the lead as we approach the midway point. And there is Connor Jones. Connor had the dominant car in that opening run here this afternoon. That car right now, not at all to his liking. Fallen out of the top 5, all the way back to 8th. Final car on the lead lap. And there you see Sean Hingorani back out onto the racetrack. You know, you look for those moral victories. On a bad day, that is a moral victory to get that car back out onto the racetrack and start logging some laps here. And as I said, he is chasing after the East Championship. Still some points to be had here today. He's not going to have a great finish, but still some points to be had here today. And every point could matter when we do get to Bristol in September. There is Jake Finch in the number 20. We approach lap 50. Of course, lap 63 will be the midway point here today. Here's Sean Hingorani in the Gear Wrench Toyota, the number 15, looking to the inside of his teammate Connor Jones. That 15 car looks pretty solid, pretty quick. Gotta be a little frustrating to be inside that cockpit and know you've got a good race car. There's not much you can do to get up there and compete for the victory, but again, even those moral victories are important on a day like today. As Jake Finch actually closing in on Connor Jones to put Connor one lap down. Landon Lewis now 1.9 seconds back in second. That 17 cars look pretty sporty here in the opening half. The General Tire 125. There's a good look at Landon Lewis. Landon, of course, a protege of NASCAR Hall of Famer Ron Hornaday, a four-time NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion. As Connor Jones giving the signal to his teammate, hey, head on down to the outside. You saw the hand sticking out of the cockpit there. Right now, that 25 car really struggling as Connor Jones drops off the lead lap. Now, I guess Connor, all he can do is hope. He's the only car to fall one lap down here in this second segment. Now we see the battle for position, and look at this. Tony Breidinger looking pretty racy in that 55 car. Tony starting to put some pressure on William Sawalich in the number 18. William driving for the same team that carried both Ty Gibbs and Sammy Smith to championships here in the ARCA Menards platform. Ty picking up the ARCA Menards Series championship in 2021, and Sammy picking up a pair of East championships, 21 and 2022. William just 16 years of age, so he won't be contending for the ARCA Menards Series championship here in 2023, but he will be chasing after the East title and making some selected starts out west as well. But right now he has got his hands full. It's Tony Breidinger in that 55 car looking very racy here as we approach the midway point here at Dover. Tony, the all-time winningest female driver in United States Auto Club history. She's got 19 USAC midget victories all across the country. Still see her running select USAC Silver Crown Series races. Got about a dozen races all across the ARCA Menards Series platform scheduled here in 2023. And right now she's trying to figure out her way around William Sawalich. Of course, William started from the pole here earlier today and is our Bounty Rookie Spotlight driver as we see Jake Finch catching some of the cars at the tail end of the field. There's his teammate Sean Hingorani. About to go another lap down. There's Zachary Tinkle in the number 11. Zachary with a really good run here, currently sitting in the 7th position. Zachary, one of the full-timers here in 2023. He's going to fall off the lead lap. And right now, that's going to be the battle for that free pass position when we go to our next scheduled break. That coming up at or around lap 70. And there's the distance between first and second. Number 20. Now working his way off of turn 4 to the outside of Ed Pompa. That is Jake Finch, our leader. He's got about a half a straightaway in hand over Landon Lewis in second. There's Landon working his way around Ed off of turn 2 there. We talked about Landon being the protege of Ron Hornaday. Of course, big news in that camp earlier this week. Ron being named one of NASCAR's top 75 drivers of all time. Good to see my buddy Ron Hornaday Jr. getting the nod there. Ron comes to a lot of these races and offers support to Landon down in the pits. Saw him wandering nervously down at Phoenix Raceway back in the month of March. There's our Bounty Rookie Spotlight driver, William Sawalich, in that number 18. Williams opened up a little bit of a gap now on Tony Breidinger. That battle for 4th and 5th cooling off here just a little bit. Williams had a pretty solid start to the season. Of course, started from the pole in that race out at Phoenix. A little contact late in the race and got sent sideways on a late race restart. That cost him his chance for victory and honestly a chance for a pretty decent finish out there, but quickly rebounded and led all 200 laps in his East Series debut down at Five Flags Speedway. Of course, 14 different drivers have won in their East Series debut. Williams the only one to lead every lap in his East debut, and giving a solid run here in his big track debut. Holding on to that 4th position. Here comes Tony Breidinger again, starting to make a little charge in that 55 car. Luke Fenhouse kind of tracking these two down in that 28. Luke way up the racetrack there in turns 3 and 4. Right now, this is the best battle on the racetrack. Tony Breidinger reeling in William Sawalich one more time. Tony's got Canadian short tracker Caden Lapcevich calling the shots on top of the pit box. Caden, a lot of big late model wins in his career. And right now, we're going to turn this into a 3-way battle for position. Here comes Luke Fenhouse to the outside. Fenhouse going to take over that 5th position into turn 3. Breidinger going to try to fight back down to the bottom side of the racetrack. He's going to hold on to that spot. Great racing the back half of the top 5. And now Fenhouse again with the drive off the top side of the racetrack. He's going to take over that 5th position and kind of pick up where he left off at Five Flags, trying to chase down William Sawalich. Seen the back bumper of that 18 car in the front out the windshield quite a bit already this season. Sawalich way up the racetrack there. Ed Pompa there to the bottom side, and that is going to jumble things up. And William Sawalich going to give up that spot to Luke Fenhouse. Fenhouse going to drive away now. Fenhouse to 4th. Sawalich trying to hold on to that 5th position with Tony Breidinger now back into 6th. Sawalich way up the racetrack there in turn 3 as they caught the tail end of the field. And look at this, folks. Landon Lewis starting to reel in our leader, Jake Finch, as we approach the 2nd of our scheduled cautions here in the General Tire 125. That 17 car really starting to come to life. We're going to have one more scheduled break, and then the dash to the finish here at Dover. And right now it looks like Landon Lewis may have the fastest race car on the track. Working lap 71. We should see the caution flag any moment. There it is. second of our 2 scheduled breaks here at Dover Motor Speedway. Coming up again, 5 minutes to change tires, make adjustments. We'll line them back up and run to the finish. Jake Finch leading the way over Landon Lewis. Another great run for the driver of that 17 car. I know he wants to break that streak of second place finishes. He's going to have about 50 laps to make it happen here once we go back green flag racing. Be interesting to see what that Steve McGowan, Bruce Cook team does down on pit road. Doesn't look like they're going to need to take a big swing at it. He was able to run some pretty competitive lap times there alongside Jake Finch. As we should be set up for a great dash to the finish here at Dover. Again, we'll group them up behind the pace car. Jake Finch will lead them on down the pit road. Once the final car stops, we will give them 5 minutes to make tire changes and adjustments. And it looks like they're going to wave around Zachary Tinkle. Zachary again picking up the free pass to rejoin the tail end of the lead lap. Zachary holding on to the 7th position. Jake Finch shown as your leader. Landon Lewis holding on to 2nd. LeVar Scott with a great run in 3rd. Luke Fenhouse and William Sawalich rounding out the top 5. Tony Breidinger and Zachary Tinkle are your 7 lead lap cars. Connor Jones led a bunch early. He's shown 2 laps down back in 8th. Ed Pompa and Brad Smith rounding out your top 10. We're going to keep an eye on Sean Hingarani. Like I said, he's going to have about 50 laps to make up maybe one more position. Just have to kind of see how things play out here in the final run to the finish. Rita Goulet, C.J. McLaughlin, Dale Scherer, and Tim Monroe all off the racetrack. And I believe pit road will be open this time around. There's Connor Jones in the 25. That car looked almost unbeatable in that first 30-lap stint. But Jake Finch looking just as solid here, as he will lead the field down onto pit road. Landon Lewis in 2nd. And what is shaping up to be a great battle for the win here at Dover Motor Speedway. Landon Lewis peels off. He'll be the first car to come to a stop. Teams cannot jump into action until the final car has stopped. And once that final car does stop, ARCA officials will wave everybody into action, and we will have 5 minutes to make tire changes and adjustments. And we'll recap all the action as teams are given the green light. And while they do jump into action, we're going to step away for a quick break. We'll come back and recap everything that happens down on pit road. You're watching the General Tire 125 live from Dover Motor Speedway, exclusively here on Flow Racing. Welcome back to Dover Motor Speedway under the second of our 2 scheduled breaks. Our final, give or take 50 lap dash to the checkered flag here coming up momentarily as a little fresh air on our leader Jake Finch. Jake looking pretty solid in that number 20 car, picking up where his teammate Connor Jones left off. And I did have an update from Jesse Punch down on pit road. They made a minor, well, at least what they thought was a minor track bar adjustment on that number 25 car for Connor Jones under the first break here today, but whatever that adjustment was, did not agree with that race car at all. So it was a very ill-handling number 25 car there in that 40 lap second run here. There's crew chief Kevin Reed there talking to one of the crew guys. Kind of explaining, if you can read body language, he was saying that car was not handling the way the driver anticipated it was going to as we move the race cars back out onto the racetrack. Kind of an up and down day for the Venerini team. They've got 2 cars solidly up into the top 10, but a couple of cars had some unexpected tough luck, and there's one of them, Sean Hingorani. We expected Sean to be very competitive today. We thought he might actually be one of the cars fighting for the win. That car has had some sort of gremlin throughout the day. Of course, Sean, a 2-time West winner already here in 2023. Sean becoming the first driver of East Indian descent to pick up a victory in one of the National Touring Series. With his win out at Irwindale a few weeks back. And then last time out for the West cars, of course, that was at Kern County Raceway Park last weekend. He picked up his second career victory, and his crew chief, Monin Rahman, going to victory lane, and Monin becoming the first crew chief of Bangladeshi descent to pick up a win. And look at these 2 guys. These 2 have been separated by a couple of car lengths just about all season long, it seems. Luke Fenhouse finally able to work his way around William Sawalich. I think they had each other in each other's sights. Well, at least William was in Luke's sights for about 150 laps at Five Flags Speedway back about a month ago. Finally able to work his way around that number 18 car. We get the 1 to go this time around. No choose in the ARCA Menards Series platform, so we will line them up in the traditional format. The leader does get lane choice. He's the only one. Jake Finch elects the bottom side. Landon Lewis to the outside. LeVar Scott alongside Luke Fenhouse there in row 2. William Sawalich alongside Tony Breidinger back in row 3. Final car on the lead lap, Zachary Tinkle, will restart from the tail of the field as he did pick up the free pass under this caution flag. We see Mark Honkamp bring the pace car down onto pit road. Zachary Tinkle bringing up the tail end of the lead lap here as we get ready to go back. Green flag racing, the final dash to the checkered coming up here at Dover Motor Speedway. Let's see what happens here on this restart. Jake Finch to the bottom side. Let's see if Landon Lewis can drive it in deep on the top side. Side by side through turns 1 and 2. Who's going to get the advantage down the backstretch? Lewis driving it in deep. He's going to try to stay side by side through 3 and 4. Can't make it stick. He's going to drop back in a second. Jake Finch holding on to the lead. LeVar Scott holding on to second. Now the battle on for 4th. Sawalich to the inside of Luke Fenhouse to move the 18, at least for now, back up to fourth. Here comes Fenhouse to the top side. Fenhouse again going to drift up the racetrack. And look at this, the 25 car coming back to life. Connor Jones a couple of laps down. Can he race his way back to the tail end of 1 lap down? Fenhouse and Tony Breidinger now racing for 5th. LeVar Scott now in the number 6 car, looking pretty racy. He's going to put some pressure on. Landon Lewis for 2nd. Here comes Tony Breidinger with a good run off of turn 2. Right on the back bumper of Fenhouse. Fenhouse going to hold on to that spot into 3 and 4. Look at that 55 car with a great run through the center of the corner. He had to move up the racetrack just a little bit, gave up a little bit of ground there to Luke Fenhouse, but that 55 car handling very well through the corners. Sean Hingarani in the number 15, tagging onto the back of that group. Of course, Sean 42 laps down after some engine gremlins. Ooh, big save there for LeVar Scott in the number 6, right there at the top of your screen. Big wiggle through turns 3 and 4 that time around. Ooh, you see a little bit there too. That 6 car has been a handful for LeVar Scott today. Connor Jones working his way underneath. William Sawalich, that 25 car has come back to life. As we jump back up to the front of the field, nobody knocking on the back door for Jake Finch. Got about a 1 second advantage over Landon Lewis in 2nd. Jake Finch, a former late model sportsman champion at Five Flags Speedway down in Pensacola, Florida. Of course, that was the site of the opening round of the 2023 ARCA Menards East Series. Had a good run in that season opener. Of course, his best career finish coming last year up at the Nashville Fairgrounds, a 2nd place run. Looking to better that by 1 position here this afternoon. This is a great battle for position, and these two, as I said, picking up where they left off at Five Flags. William Sawalich led all 200 laps there, but he had Luke Fenhouse about 1 car length back for about 150 of them. And right now, Fenhouse 1 car length back as they battle for position here at Dover. Sawalich holding on to 4th. Luke Fenhouse currently sitting in 5th. LeVar Scott up the racetrack. Connor Jones, he's going to drive by. Again, that's not a battle for position. Ooh, did you see LeVar? All kinds of sideways on corner entry there. That car still, ooh, all kinds of sideways there off of turn 2. That's a nice save. That could be one of our Reese's Sweet Move candidates. We already gave LeVar a nod when he took the lead way back on lap 3, but that save off of turn 2 right there could be another of our Reese's Sweet Move candidates. Don't forget, folks, you can vote for the Reese's Sweet Move of the race starting 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Just log on to ARCA, at ARCA_racing. Again, at ARCA_racing on Twitter. Cast your vote. Right now, LeVar Scott looking like he's going to get at least one of those nominations. We'll see who else gets a nod for today's Reese's Sweet Move of the race. Back up front, there's Jake Finch. This is kind of what happened in that second stint of the race. Jake kind of opened up the gap a little bit, and then as the tires wore, Landon Lewis was able to kind of reel him in a little bit. That second run of the race was about 40 laps. This run going to be about 10 laps longer. Does Landon Lewis, will he be able to take advantage of that extra 10 laps here in this second stint? Hey, how about this? Battle for third. Luke Fenhouse underneath LeVar Scott. LeVar's car, as we have talked about, still not quite to that young man's liking. He drifted up the racetrack, and Luke just turned her left and went motoring on by. So Luke Fenhouse up to third in that Pinnacle Racing Group Chevrolet. LeVar Scott in the Max Siegel Rev Racing Chevrolet back to fourth. Ooh, Fenhouse very close to that outside wall off of turn 4. And that's just how treacherous this racetrack is. It could just jump out and bite you. You don't even know it's coming. Fenhouse driving away from LeVar Scott now in that number 6. LeVar's number, that number 6 car not at all handling. And there's always lurking Miles the Monster, always lurking here at Dover Motor Speedway. There's a guy who doesn't even want to think about Miles the Monster right now. Jake Finch holding on to the lead. Still about 1 second in hand over Landon Lewis in second. Lewis, man, maybe about a 1/10 of a second closer than he was last time we checked. But hey, he is within the same camera shot right now. Landon Lewis in that 17 car. Let's check the gap here this time around. Oh, he's going to pick up about 3/10 of a second that time around. So Landon Lewis with the fastest car on the racetrack again as we start to close in on the finish here at Dover. You know, we've talked about Landon a couple of times today, the protege of NASCAR Hall of Famer Ron Hornaday, our current ARCA Menards West Championship leader. Landon picked up the win in his West debut last year at Kern County. He won in his second ever ARCA Menards Series start on the dirt at the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. Actually finished second in his debut on the Springfield Mile. And right now looking to pick up the win in his East Series debut. And he is there, folks. He is on the back bumper as we see the battle for fifth starting to pick up. William Sawalich closing in on LeVar Scott. So some good racing throughout the top 5. Here comes Landon Lewis. Still about 5 car lengths back. 27 laps to go here in Dover. I told you folks at that break we were going to see a battle for the win between the 20 and the 17. And here you go, battle for the win between the 20 and the 17 with now 26 laps remaining. An impressive start to the season for Landon Lewis out west. He finished second at Phoenix. Of course, that was a combination race with the ARCA Menards Series. And he followed it up with a second place at Irwindale and another second place run last time out at Kern County Raceway Park. And right now, he has got the fastest race car on the track. Just about 5, maybe 7 car lengths off that back bumper of Jake Finch down the backstretch. Is he just biding his time with 25 to go? Thrashing that race car a little bit now. If he does that too much, he's going to heat those tires up and give up all that ground he worked so hard to gain. Don't want to be thrashing that race car. This, again, we've talked about the surface here at Dover Motor Speedway, notoriously abrasive. You start thrashing that race car around, it's going to heat those tires up. You won't make up any ground once you burn those tires off. Jake Finch holding on to the lead. Landon Lewis trying to close in, back in second. Sean Hingarani in the 15 car. He's going to work his way past both William Sawalich and LeVar Scott. Look at Tony Breidinger in the mix. This is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Tony has been on the back bumper of William Sawalich a few times throughout the course of the day. And right now, Sawalich way up the racetrack. Can Tony capitalize? She's going to stick the nose to the inside. Move Tony Breidinger back up into 5th. Great run so far by the driver of the 55 car. Still looking for more. She's closing in on LeVar Scott. The 55 car looking really good here in the late stages. Ooh. LeVar Scott all kinds of sideways through turns 1 and 2. That's going to allow Tony Breidinger to capitalize. She's to the inside, down the backstretch and into 3. You talk about a sweet move right there. That was a great pass by Tony Breidinger. That could be a candidate for the Reese's Sweet move. That number 6 car has gone away. LeVar Scott really wrestling that race car. We check back in at the front of the field. Jake Finch holding on to the lead. Open it up just a little bit. Now about a half second, the gap between 1st and 2nd. Look who's coming behind these two. Connor Jones in that 25 car, still 2 laps down to the leaders. That 25 car back to where it was in that first run of the day. Boy, Connor's got to be frustrated inside that cockpit, knowing he's got a car that could have fought for the win here today. There will be another go at it here coming up at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway coming up in a couple of weeks. May 13th, Music City 200. There's the gap between the top 2. About 15 car lengths up at the front of the field. A good look at Landon Lewis as he dives off into turn 3. Of course, we all remember the big win at Talladega Super Speedway back in 2009. Brad Keselowski giving James Finch his first and only win as a car owner in the NASCAR Cup Series. Phoenix Racing picking up 13 victories in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Drivers like Kurt Busch, Mike Bliss, Johnny Sauter, Jamie McMurray, Jimmy Spencer picked up a handful of wins. Randy LaJoie, Jeff Purvis picking up some wins for James Finch back in 1996. 10 wins in the ARCA Menards Series platform for James Finch as an owner. Wow. Landon Lewis almost collecting the wall there. He is really working that race car, starting to close in on the number 20 just a little bit, trying to make a run for it here as we're inside 15 to go. It's been since 2010 since we've seen James Finch in victory lane. in an ARCA Menards Series platform race. That one with Casey Roderick up at New Jersey Motorsports Park. And right now his son Jake has just 11 to go, but he has got his hands full. Landon Lewis now all over the back bumper. Coming to 11 laps to go this time around. Landon Lewis on the charge. Jake Finch trying to hold him off. Ooh, Landon with a big handful of steering wheel, and did he get into the outside wall there off of 4? If he didn't, he came really close. Lewis trying to keep those tires cool. He's not going to do it that way. Another big slide off of turn 4. He's going to give up some ground to Jake Finch. Folks, he is so close he can taste it. He knows he's got a car that can get up there and battle him. He needs to keep it under control, needs to keep those emotions in check. Oh, big hit for Connor Jones in turn 3. Caution flag going to come out. Wow, we saw that car dart to the right, and a big time hit for Connor Jones puts us under the caution flag for the 3rd time. Let's see if we can take a look. Keep an eye on the 3rd car in line. You're going to see him at the top of the screen, and wow, big time hit to that outside wall for Connor Jones. And I believe we saw the hood pop up on the right side. May have had a right front go away on that, and certainly all indications would point to a failure on the right front. Don't quite know if it was suspension related or tire related or whatever it was, but wow, a big look at this, folks. Big time hit. Do you see that safer barrier flex when Connor made contact with the outside wall? Wow, big time hit for Connor Jones in the 25. And Miles the Monster claims yet another innocent victim. Safety crew on site. You see Connor moving around in the cockpit. That's a great sign after a big hit like that, but they're going to take their time. Get that young man out of the race car and down to the infield care center. Window net is down. There's Connor climbing out. Oh, and look on his face. Wow. Take a second there on the ledge and catch his breath. Let's take a look at this one more time, folks, and see if we can see the hood on the right front. Maybe just pop up just a little bit. Not quite in frame just yet. He's about to be right. Oh, and there you see it. Yep. Right front tire went away on that 25 car just as he dove off into turn 3. You saw that debris flying from the right side. Nothing he could do at that point, just a passenger. And he gingerly makes his way to the AMR safety truck. Bring him down to the infield care center and get a quick check on him. You talk about an up and down day for the Venerini Motorsports team. 2 cars in the top 5. Another car that has fought some engine gremlins. Another one that looked like it could have been a contender to win, and they're going to end up with a wrecked race car after a hard hit here in the very final stages of today's General Tire 125. And the Monster claiming another one. lot of fluid coming out from underneath the 25 car, so take our time to get that cleaned up for the final dash to the finish here. Jake Finch continuing to lead the way, and this will take a little bit of time to get the incident scene cleared over there in turns 3 and 4, and this may send us into ARCA overtime. So why don't we take a look at what the overtime procedures are. Now, we will have unlimited attempts at a green, white, checkered finish, and look at that, boy. Wow, that is the impact site there over in turn 3. And what we do, folks, still have 6 to go, and I may be a little bit premature here talking about overtime, but if we do chew up some laps here as we do try to get this site cleared up, we do have unlimited overtime attempts at a green, white, checkered finish. If the caution comes out before the white flag, we'll keep doing those green, white, checkered finishes. If the caution comes out after the white flag is shown, we'll just do a 1-lap dash, green and white flag together, followed by the checkered. We will do that as many times as we would need to get a green flag finish. But again, just coming to complete lap 120, and look, wow, look at the damage there on that 25 car. Big time hit. There's Big Bill Venerini sitting down on his scooter there, watching the remains of his number 25 car hauled down into the pits. So we'll come to complete lap 121 this time around. So 4 to go to reach the scheduled distance. And if we can finish at the scheduled advertised distance, we will do that. ARCA officials always want to get us to the finish as advertised. It looks like cleanup just about done over there in turns 3 and 4. So we talked about the success that James Finch has had in the ARCA Menards Series platform over the years. Of course, 8 wins with Jeff Purvis back in 1993, 1994, 1995, and 1996. Picked up a win at Daytona. Oh, look at this. Tony Breidinger. Oh, what a heartbreak. She was up in the top 5. That car coming to a stop under caution. Oh, Tony looking for her, just having an absolutely career day, looking for her first ever top 5 finish in the ARCA Menards Series platform. That car coming to a stop under caution. Get a push down onto pit road. Oh, what a heartbreak. The driver of the number 55. Talking about the success that James Finch has had. Of course, he picked up a win at Daytona in 1997. Andy Hillenberg behind the wheel for that one of Andy's 3 ARCA wins. And then, of course, that final victory at New Jersey Motorsports Park with Casey Roderick behind the wheel. And now his young son, Jake Finch, looking to pick up the win, this time behind the wheel. He's just going to have a short dash to the checkered to make it happen. He is going to have his hands full on this restart, folks. He's got Landon Lewis and Luke Fenhouse, two of the hungriest young short trackers in the country. We continue to circulate behind the pace car. We come to what would be the 2 to go signal, as we still see safety vehicles on the track. So this will send us, folks, into overtime as we continue to work to get Tony Breidinger down onto pit road. And this, talk about an absolute heartbreaker. Tony was fighting for her first career top 5 finish. And I know she's been trying to get that car refired. That's why she's still getting pushed around the racetrack here, but not the way she wanted to end her day. So I believe Tony is going to bring that car down onto pit road this time around, and that should get us ready to go back racing. Indeed, Tony's going to turn her left down onto pit road. See if we get the 1 to go this time around. Set us up for the first attempt at an overtime finish. Again, green followed by white, followed by checkered. As we do get the 1 to go from Jimmy Walker. The only driver who gets to choose which lane he would like to restart on is the leader. Jake Finch going to elect the bottom side of the racetrack for this restart. Landon Lewis to his outside. Luke Fenhouse and William Sawalich back in row 2. LeVar Scott back in row 3. Zachary Tinkle, the final car on the lead lap, will restart at the tail of the field. There you see Zachary to the tail end there in that purple and black number 11. We will have a 2-lap dash. Jake Finch and Landon Lewis on the front row. Luke Fenhouse and William Sawalich back in row 2. There's LeVar Scott, the 5 cars fighting for the win as we come back to Jimmy Walker's green flag. What's going to happen down into 1? Can Landon Lewis stick it to the top side and battle for the lead? Side by side into 1. A little bit of contact there through turns 1 and 2. More contact off of 2 and down the backstretch. Lewis still to the outside into 3. Fenhouse in 3rd. Looking for some racing room as we come back to the white flag. More contact off of turn 4. Lewis going to stick the nose of that 17 car out front. Down into turns 1 and 2. Who's it going to beat off down the backstretch? Half a lap away from the checkered flag. Landon Lewis with the advantage into 3. A little bit of contact. Lewis up the racetrack. Jake Finch leads the way off of turn 4. Jake Finch going to pick up the win here at Dover Motor Speedway. Landon Lewis across the line in 2nd. Jake Finch picking up career win number 1. Wow, what an intense dash to the checkered flag. All kinds of contact over those final couple of laps, and look at that guy, Landon Lewis, absolutely gave it everything he had. Going to come up just short in his ARCA Menards East debut. But this guy, Jake Finch, claiming career win number 1. In thrilling fashion here at the Monster Mile. Crew Chief Kevin Reed Jr. with the trademark flag, fly the V, folks. Venerini Motorsports going back to victory lane. Their 3rd consecutive ARCA Menards platform victory. 2 wins on the same day last week. Another win here at Dover Motor Speedway today. Jake Finch burning it down here at the start-finish line. Wow, I need to catch my breath after that one. What a run by Landon Lewis as he tried to take that top spot away from Jake Finch. We talked about all the success that his father has had over the years as a car owner in the various NASCAR and ARCA divisions. And now his young 17-year-old son, Jake Finch, celebrating career win number 1 and doing it in thrilling fashion here at the Monster Mile. Jake Finch pounding on the roof. Think he's happy? How about that? An impressive, impressive run. There's Shannon Rush. And the whole Venerini Motorsports team joining him in victory celebration here on the start-finish line. Jake going to go get that checkered flag from Jimmy Walker. Career day for Jake Finch, leading the most laps and picking up his first career ARCA Menards East victory. Helmet is off. Now all we need to do is get you to victory lane, Jake. A lot of smiles down there after a hard-fought 2-lap dash. Pick up that win. There's Shannon giving him the directions to get to victory lane. He knows the way. Shannon, of course, the crew chief back in 2016 when Justin Haley picked up the East Series championship. Let's take a look at this battle for the win right here. Wow, a lot of contact between Jake Finch and Landon Lewis. They bounced off of one another quite a few times. Landon had the advantage there, going down into turn 1, and Jake just kept it to the mat. Look at this run off of turn 2 again. Landon Lewis not wanting to give it up. Noses ahead into turn 3. More contact. He's going to move Landon up the racetrack just a little bit. That was the advantage he needed. Jake Finch cleanly off of turn 4. First to the checkered flag. Career win number 1. Almost got up into Landon right there after taking the checkered flag. as we await Jake Finch down in Victory Lane. And we're going to send it to our friends with NASCAR TV to hear from Jake Finch down in Victory Lane. How about that big kiss in Victory Lane? I knew it was coming. Big Bill with the big kiss down in Victory Lane for our winner today, Jake Finch. What a performance. What a run there over the last couple of laps to hold off a hard-charging Landon Lewis. Well, folks, that's going to do it for us here today. Don't forget, we'll be back May 13th for the Music City 200 live here on Flow Racing. Next race for the ARCA Menards Series West coming up June 2nd, first of two road course races coming up at Portland International Raceway. Certainly appreciate you joining us here live on Flow for the General Tire 125. Congrats going out to that guy, Jake Finch, celebrating Benarini style down in Victory Lane. We look forward to seeing you next time from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway coming up again on May 13th. Until then, folks, so long, everybody.